Hezbollah, and frankly, the Democrat Party is to wait this out, make it as long as possible until the midterms. That is their goal. That is their.
Whoops-a-daisy. My bad, guys. My bad. What I was pretty much saying was, now it's kind of crazy though. I was pretty much telling you guys this for a while now that, yeah, one, Iran has this Mosaic defense. So even if you take out the leadership, that's not going to stop the attacks. And then, of course, two, well, what was actually his last point? Sorry, guys. I lost my train of thought. I was cooking and, I was on mute, so it sucks. So I gotta retrace my thoughts on this one.
And whatnot, and every chance, every opportunity, we're taking them out. And on top of that, you put the blockade. We are absolutely strangling them. And yes, we have a midterm election coming up. The Iranian strategy is the same as Hamas, Hezbollah, and frankly, the Democrat Party is to wait this out, make it as long as possible until the midterms. That is their goal. That is their strategy. And we're here to make sure that they don't get that.
Yeah. Well, and of course, they're up against somebody who cares more about the.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was also explaining, too, how he was also pretty much saying that Iran's coast is like the size of California, and pretty much finding military assets to strike that's actually going to hinder their ability to control the strait is like finding a needle in a haystack, except the hay is a bunch of mountains. So, yeah, that's the problem there. And as we can see, Iran is still able to control the strait through their relentless striking of vessels. And like I said, 2 vessels were struck in the strait today, and that's not good. I mean, like I said, all this shows is that, they're really serious about controlling the strait, and now they're getting more and more aggressive about it. But let's get into that.
Ships passing through the strait that it believes are either not honoring the.
Let's get into that real quick, though. Let's get into, what was it, Fox News? Oh, yeah, they're actually the ones covering it. So, yeah.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time is 8:07 on the East Coast and 5:07 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And right there on the right-hand side of your screen, an image that you've probably seen quite a bit since February as you're looking at the Strait of Hormuz. Once again, not a lot of movement there. I want to get you to the latest coming in out of the region as we see the.
I know, right? It's like, oh, we control the strait. All right, then why aren't ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz like we would want? I know that's within our interest, is it not? Unless we want the strait to be shut down like this. And of course we don't, because that skyrockets our gas price and fertilizer price. So if the strait is shut down, then what does that mean? That Iran is shutting down the strait and they control it, not the U.S. I mean, the only thing we can sit here and do is sit on the outskirts and put up a naval blockade that doesn't really do much.
Tensions rise between the U.S. and Iran. Take a look at this post from Iran International English. It says Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, said Friday that it struck and halted 2 oil tankers that it said had attempted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz via, quote, an unauthorized route under U.S. military air escort. In a statement, the IRGC said 4 other tankers turned back after the incident. The IRGC accused the tankers of ignoring Iranian warnings and said the vessels had attempted to transit the waterway after being, quote unquote, misled by the U.S. military Central Command, known, of course, as CENTCOM. A lot of that information here coming in within the last several hours. So what I want to do is bring in Jabhat Ali.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much we're trying to make these guys go through the strait without Iran's permission and try to make them take the southern route of the strait, which is the Omanian side. The problem with having them take the Omanian side of the strait is that they can still strike that, and they're striking it with impunity, and we cannot get these vessels through, and nor do we have a way to protect them, because like I said, they're throwing like drones and missiles at it, and we don't really got time to protect them and protect our bases and our allies and all our assets in the region. It's a lot. So I don't even know why we're trying to do this. Like, we're low-key putting these vessels in danger, and we're kind of testing and seeing what we can do. And because we're doing this and these ships are getting damaged, I'm pretty sure they're asking for compensation, because like, yo, you made us go through that strait and we got struck. What the fuck? And United States were like, don't worry, bro. Don't worry. We're going to go ahead and give you some of Iran's, frozen assets. We still got like 12 billion over here. We got you, man. How much that cost? 300 million? Don't worry, we got you.
over at the University of Michigan, always joining us to break down all of the latest developments there out of the Middle East. And as always, a lot going on. Javed, thank you so much for being here with us.
Josh, nice to be with you. Thank you.
And I have to ask you, so we're starting off by talking about the Strait of Hormuz and these claims from Iran, once again, the IRGC, that they have launched these attacks on those oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. We don't have a lot of information just yet, but to hear Iran doing this, continuing to do it, what does that say about maybe where things stand?
Josh, really good question. So I think it tells us that Iran will still fire on ships passing through the strait that it believes are either not honoring the rules that it has put in place, or are somehow violating these terms that it thinks that that all sort of shipping has to abide by. And perhaps some of these ships also haven't paid fees or tolls to Iran. That could be another part of the calculus. But I also think it demonstrates Iran's capability, operational capability, to continue to attack ships, even though we've seen the U.S.
Even though we've seen a large bombardment along their entire coastline, but yet these bastards are still able to control the effing strait. Why? Well, I mean, one, like, come on, guys, they're right there. And two, like I said, it's like finding a needle in the haystack, all of the launch sites that they have along this coast. I mean, Iran's terrain is like a nightmare like to a military guy. It's a nightmare to a military target analyst. Let's just say that, because just finding these targets in these mountains, hills, and all this mountainous terrain is like, bro, it's damn near impossible. I mean, we could do our best, we can catch them slipping, but we won't be able to strike all of them. And if we, I mean, we probably could. I mean, but I'm gonna be real with you though, that's gonna be a lot of munitions that we don't got. So let's just get a key understanding here. It is really easy to close the strait because all Iran got to do is show that they're able to still fire off missiles and drones. What's extremely hard is opening up the strait, because not only do we got to defend off Iran, but you also got to keep defense of the vessels. And then if the vessels get hit, now you got to come out of pocket, because the insurance definitely didn't tell them to go through there. You did. So now these vessels are looking towards you. Man, here's Trump out here making us financially liable for $300 to $400 million vessels. And if he runs out of money, it is going to start coming out of taxpayer dollars. So let's not forget about that.
Attack Iranian
stolen funds,
military capabilities for now months along that whole coastline where the Strait of Hormuz sort of follows. And despite probably hundreds, if not thousands, of strikes against different types of weapon systems and command and control facilities and other targets, that Iran still has this ability to attack ships. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I think there's multiple things going on at the same time.
And it's also important to note, you just touched on this, but one thing that we don't know too much about is how kind of things stand when it comes to Iran's military. We've heard from President Trump, we've heard from Secretary Pete Hegseth, essentially saying that Iran doesn't necessarily have a navy, any military at this point, but it looks like they are still kind of launching those attacks. Now, they're also claiming that they launched an attack, a drone attack of sorts, a bit earlier today on a U.S. base over in Kuwait. We haven't heard any confirmation from CENTCOM. We haven't heard whether or not there were any impact strikes, injuries. We've heard none of that. So the fact that we don't fully know what Iran is capable of at this point, I have to imagine that creates...
It's kind of crazy, though, because it's catching the right off guard, or it's catching Fox News for some reason. But, you know, I've been kind of preaching this for a while now. And like I said, I've even had talks where people were in disbelief when I told them that, Iran got hypersonic missiles. Iran got underground bases, guys. This is not going to be easy. Like, everybody trying to frame this as Venezuela or it's going to be Iraq. But, actually, it's a whole lot worse. I'm like, well, Venezuela was easy, but Iraq, I mean, you guys get my point with that one. Hey, more people, bigger country, more sophisticated army. And how do we do against a less sophisticated army with less people? Okay, I hope you get what I'm saying now. But all right, though, Now let's go ahead and get over to the next video here. Let's get back into, well, stay on Fox News for a little bit. I do want to hear what they got to say and see what their angles are.
And is doing very poorly. Just in case you read incorrect stories, they're doing very, very poorly. They're having a hard time. They've been very dishonest. I'm losing faith in them because they do lie and they do misrepresent.
President Trump at Camp David opening up that cabinet meeting, talking about a number of different topics, but Iran leading the way. And this is new reporting, including our questions to the White House about what started in the Wall Street Journal about a new round of attacks. Pretty significant, at least forecast to be that, with the U.S. and Israel inside Iran. The White House press secretary responding to that, saying the United States signed an MOU with Iran and they broke it, shot at commercial ships, killed American soldiers. President Trump is not going to stand by.
No, that's debatable because we couldn't get Israel out of Lebanon, and that was like clause 1 of the memorandum of understanding, and we couldn't even get that done. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that. Like, you can't really say we broke the memorandum of understanding when we couldn't even fulfill, like, number 1. And then 2, we actually said in the memorandum of understanding, as ambiguous as it was, that they can regulate the strait. Now, I know in our understanding, we thought that they were going to regulate the reopening of the strait. Now, in Iran's understanding, they said, oh, no, we're about to lead people through the strait and charge them a service fee, which they were doing. And we were allowing to happen until we try to open up the southern side of the Omani, or the southern side of the Hormuz Strait, which is the Oman side, which is one of our key allies. And we try to send these ships through until, well, I ain't gonna lie, like, let's be real. Iran stopped all that shit. Let's be real. They stopped it by sending rockets and missiles into the strait, hitting 2 ships, hitting 2 ships and sinking 2 ships. What does that say? That they're still able to control the strait, still able to exert force. So yeah, these ships are no longer going to listen to us when we tell them, oh, it's safe to take the southern side. I mean, why would they do such a thing? And because because we're not allowing Iran to actually regulate or control the strait, and trust me, I don't want them to do it either, but sounds like that might have been the best option, sadly. But because we cannot allow that, or the Trump administration cannot allow that, because it'd be a huge L, we just pretty much engaged in a full-on bombing campaign trying to release their control of the strait that they still have. And we're still continuing this bombing campaign to this day. So this is like where we're at with it. Like, you got to remember, this war restarted off the craziness of 2 vessels taking a whole different route than the other vessels and not listening to Iran and getting their ass hit. And like, remember, we didn't know that was America actually leading them through at first. I honestly thought it was a false flag to get America back into it. But as you see, it was just us kind of being dumb and thinking that we can just sneak them through. And these ships are getting hit and we're pissed off because not only do we got to pay for these ships, but we got to save face.
And allow this terrorist behavior to occur, Iran will continue to pay until they come to the table in what President Trump deems a meaningful way. With that, let's start there and bring in our panel. Trey Gowdy, former congressman from South Carolina, host of Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy. Susan Page, Washington bureau chief at USA Today, and Axios political reporter Hans Nichols. Hans, It seems like the president has reached this frustration level. He essentially signaled that at the cabinet meeting today. And it seems like that's the pressure point to try to get Iran, after some point, to come meaningfully to the table.
The president, in his own words, Brett, said we will be hitting them very hard. So I don't think anyone should be surprised if there are substantial and serious strikes in Iran, potentially jointly with Israel, over the weekend. What we don't know is...
Yeah, I'm not sure if Israel's actually going to join because, what was it? Their finance minister Smotrich, he pretty much came out and said that, well, Israel's in the perfect position. We got Iran fighting, not Iran, but we got the U.S. fighting Iran for us. And then they're also about to take care of Hezbollah for us. They're bragging about it on Fox News, how we're just about to relieve Israel of the problem that they started and go ahead and fix it for them. I mean, isn't that crazy? But yeah, I mean, bro, as far as things are going, not in the right direction.
We don't know the scope and we don't know the duration. And some of the reporting from CBS and others has indicated that the Trump administration wants it to be over by the weekend. Now, that's a difficult sort of runway. That's a very short period to have exceedingly harsh strikes, as some of the...
Oh, yeah, but sorry, to conclude my point, though, what I was pretty much trying to say was that, no, Israel's not going to get involved. They want us to take care of everything while they sit back and, reap the benefits of the aftermath.
Reporting suggesting, but also
to stabilize the entire Middle East and start taking land left and right.
Have it be ending so quickly, potentially before markets open back up on Sunday. So this is the challenge the president finds himself in, is that, yes, he wants to strike Iran. Yes, he wants to let them know that he means business, but there's also some regulators on it. And one of those regulators is the market.
Yeah, Secretary of State Marco Rubio sat down with Laura Trump for an interview this weekend, and he said that Iran has not really calculated President Trump. Take a listen.
I don't think the Iranian regime has ever faced a president like President Trump, which is someone that actually takes action. They got used to for 20 or 30 years, not just the U.S., but the broader world, allowing them to get away with things like lying, breaking deals, tricking people into agreements and so forth.
Trey, thoughts on that and kind of this growing frustration in the administration with the efforts to try to get to a negotiated peace?
Yeah, Marco's right. It's been 47 years. I don't know what changes if you get them to the table. I mean, assume you're sitting across the table from them, Brett. Are you going to believe what they tell you? I mean, you cannot rely on what this regime tells you.
And you kind of see how, bro, the language on Fox News is turning into, no, we need regime change. We need regime change because we can't trust the regime inside or outside of a deal. And I know that's damn near been my slogan with these guys, because it's like, okay, then what you're pushing for is regime change, aka boots on the ground, which y'all just don't want to say out loud. All you want to sit there and do is just repeat the line to the people is that, well, basically, look, we can't trust them inside, we can't trust them outside of a deal. I mean, how could you ever trust these crazy IRGC guys? It's like, okay, but we kind of do if we want to get to peace or honestly give it back to some type of normalcy. But here's the thing, though. If we don't do that, then I'm gonna be real with you. We're gonna have anything but normalcy. And you're this whole initiative of just like finishing the job. Yeah, it doesn't really get us anywhere. But hold on now. Let me make sure I got his point all the way down.
If you get them to the table, I mean, assume you're sitting across the table.
Yeah, like I said, it's always about, well, what if they lie? I'm like, okay, then just say what y'all want out loud. Say you want regime change. Say you want boots on the ground and stop beating around the bush.
From them, Brett, are you going to believe what they tell you? I mean, you cannot rely on what this regime tells you. So one of two things has to happen. That regime has to fundamentally change, which hasn't happened.
So crazy. People like to sit there and say like, oh, it's not about regime change. Bro, we killed their leader on the first day and killed like an entire succession of leadership. Then Trump came out and told the Iranian people to take back their institution. Yeah, what the fuck was that? Then what was that? Like, come on now. They're just upset that it didn't work. So now they want to kind of take it back as a goal. But trust me, if it had worked, they're like, oh yeah, we got regime change, guys. Yeah, of course. I mean, you took out the leader in his entire succession, but little did we know that they have this thing called a Mosaic defense, and they already had multiple lines of succession ready for that moment. Little did we know.
In half a century, or you have to change the regime. In the meantime, you've got to hit them so much harder than they hit you. Not only do they pursue a nuclear weapon from a military standpoint, they pursue a nuclear economic weapon, which is the Strait of Hormuz. You cannot allow that to happen. You cannot give this rogue nation that amount of power. I mean, if he still has patience with Iran, then he is Job, because the rest of us ran out weeks ago.
In the meantime, Susan, there's a lot happening.
Well, let's be real. Most of us don't want to crash out our economy because you want regime change for Iran. I mean, most of us don't want to face $10 gas per gallon because you want regime change with Iran. Like, nobody want to do that. Like, that's the problem, bro. And here's the thing. They always beat around the bush with it. We've lost patience. You can't trust them inside, outside of a deal. Bro, just say what y'all want. Y'all want regime change. Just say it out loud. Y'all know it ain't possible, but I mean, at least be honest.
In the Middle East, I mean, for a long time, we played this cat and mouse game with Hamas, as did Israel. Now the president is touting a disarmament deal.
Yeah. But, there are some similarities, I think, between the situation with Iran and the situation in Gaza, which is that the devil is truly in the details. So you can announce a plan, and if it was implemented, that would be a huge achievement, a real game changer in the Middle East. But we've got 100 steps to go to get there. And as we found with Iran, You take one step forward, you take two steps back. So there is a lot of skepticism in the region that this is really going to be possible. But if it was, it would be historic.
Yeah, on that historic nature, here is the president today.
I don't have an understanding with Israel. Israel is very happy about it. Will it go through its ups and downs? It's a very complex situation over there. Nobody thought that would be possible to disarm.
Honestly, I don't think Israel cares. They're still going to bomb the Palestinians. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, let's be real. Does Israel honestly care about the ceasefire? No, because they've been bombing the Palestinians. Do they care about Hamas giving back the hostages? No, because they're still recklessly bombing them and going out and still imprisoning Palestinians. They don't care. And then, of course, I mean, the whole the disarmament of Hamas. Well, will Israel care even then? Will they still continue bombing Palestinians? To be continued.
Hamas. That shows you how much success we're having with Iran.
Well, this is a huge step forward. It looks like a pretty good process. There's a lot of verification in it.
Now is the time for both sides to implement what was agreed.
So the president's touting this board of peace. All parties reaffirm their commitment to the comprehensive plan to achieve peace in Gaza. Israel fully complete without delay all remaining commitments. Progression from one phase to the following one shall be contingent on the verified completion. Hamas and other factions agreed that all civilian governance and security functions in Gaza shall be handed over upon fully assuming its responsibilities.
All right, so it's pretty much like I said, and this whole board of peace was supposed to allow a path for the Palestinians to govern themselves and police themselves, and it's looking like that's what they're doing. Like Hamas looks like Hamas is actually about to dissolve into their police force in a way, but we'll see how that works out.
This new entity shall maintain the continuation of civilian institutions and public services. I mean, it says a lot, Hans, but getting from point A to point B, as we know in that area, sometimes is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a threshold matter, this seems like a significant accord. It seems like they have agreement, not total agreement from the Israelis, but, you know, they're getting there. And as the president himself noted, there will be ups and downs on this. But, you know, what surprised me the most about this, and I think it surprised most people, is that there's a lot going on in the world. We're talking about Iran. We're talking about fighting with the Senate. There are so many different issues. And then out of nowhere, this comes out. And obviously, diplomats have been tracking this. They've been focused on this. But it's a reminder that the Trump administration is doing so many things at so many times. And it's a challenge, but it's almost bewildering to stay up with it. Here, it seems like this is good news. You don't want to be overly positive on the first don't read.
I don't know. It is good news. But, I mean, is that going to stop Israel's BS? I mean, who knows? Hopefully it does. Hopefully they don't move the goalposts. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this next video with the Wall Street Journal. And it's talking about one of Iranian's missiles and why it is so hard to stop. But all right, guys, let's get right into it. I'm a main screen for you guys. Oh, yeah, make sure to double tap that screen and smash the like button, guys. Appreciate the support, by the way. And also, if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, go ahead and super chat it in. Or if you just want to support the show, you can send a gift as well, guys. Truly appreciate it.
Kheibar Shekan ballistic missile, and the regime has been firing it at U.S. bases across the Middle East. Iran has been using the missile throughout its war with the United States. But U.S. officials say Iran's attacks are growing more and more complex, and that's making the missile even more dangerous for American troops. The Kheibar Shekan is a medium-range ballistic missile. Iran claims it can fly 900 miles, meaning it can threaten the entire Middle East and beyond. Iran considers the missile to be all Iranian, meaning it was designed in Iran and it's not a modified version of an older Soviet missile. It's named after the Battle of Kheibar in the 7th century when followers of the Prophet Muhammad conquered a Jewish enclave. There are a few features that make this missile challenging for Iran's adversaries. In some variants, the nose section, which carries the warhead, can maneuver as it crashes toward the Earth at high speeds. The missile also has solid fuel, unlike older missiles, meaning it doesn't need to be fueled up right before launch. That allows Iran to keep the missiles loaded on trucks and ready to fire quickly before U.S. warplanes can take them out. Experts also say the missile can carry a payload of more than 1,000 pounds and travel thousands of miles an hour, making direct hits incredibly dangerous.
موشکی خیبر شکن برای اولین بار در مقابل دیدگان شما نوع موشک بالستیک با سوخت جامد.
When the Kheibar Shekan was introduced in 2022, Iran's military claimed its third-generation design made the missile one-third the weight.
Yeah, guys, and this is kind of what makes Iran like a little bit more lethal than you expected, because like she said, they build all of this in-house. All of this is built in-house and underground, and they can pop out about 300 missiles a month. You guys, you know how much we pop out? About 600 to 900 a year. They're doing that in 3 months.
Of previous models and took about 1/6 the time to launch. Iran has been using the Kheibar Shekan alongside other missiles and drones, and it has been using a range of speeds, flight paths, and maneuvers to try to confuse defenses. The U.S. has shot down the majority of those projectiles, but some have gotten through. In July, 3 American soldiers were killed in an attack on a base in Jordan. Before the war started, the U.S. and Israel estimated that Iran had about 2,500 medium-range ballistic missiles, including the Kheibar Shekan. Iran also has short-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and space launch vehicles. It has also fired intermediate-range ballistic missiles at the U.S. military base in the Indian Ocean, known as Diego Garcia. During Epic Fury, the U.S. tried to knock out Iran's missile and launch sites, but officials say Iran has been able to dig them out of underground facilities and reconstitute some of its supply. There's also evidence that Iran has shared the Kheibar Shekan with the Houthi rebels in Yemen. The Defense Intelligence Agency has published photos showing that the Houthis' version is nearly identical to Iran's. Iran hasn't disclosed the cost of the Kheibar Shekan, but analysts say it is far cheaper than the U.S. and Israeli interceptors that are used to shoot them down.
Yep.
Those interceptors.
I mean, bro, here's the thing, though. Like, bro, our interceptors are shooting down $20,000 to $50,000 drones, and these are like $1 million interceptors. And yes, also it does look like their missiles are probably about $200,000 to $300,000. And you got to remember, everything is built inside of Iran. They don't got to outsource nothing really. So it is what it is on that note. And you already know, and guys, you already know here, they're damn near building this shit for free. I mean, when all the supplies come from in-house and you building it in-house, even with your currency destroyed, you can still get a lot of these out.
Like Patriots, THAADs, and Standard missiles cost between $2 million and $15 million each, depending on the type. At the beginning of the war, President Trump and other U.S. officials said that a key objective of Epic Fury was to wipe out Iran's missile program.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground.
But President Trump has backed off of that objective and is now largely focused on getting Iran to drop its pursuit of a nuclear weapon.
Missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
Entering its 5th month, the conflict.
Yeah, that's what he pretty much saying. Like, what you mean? Iran can have missiles. They got a right to defend themselves. We just don't want them to have a nuke. And I'm like, you know what? I share that opinion. But here's the problem, though. Israel does not share that opinion, and neither do neocons. Because every time we try to get them on a deal with their nukes, they always come in between and be like, no, well, you got to take care of their missiles and proxies as well. And it's like, nah, I think our interest is start with the nukes and end with the nukes. Well, their nuclear program. Anything else we should leave Israel to tackle, since they really want it.
Between Iran and the United States has continued to flare up, with both sides launching attacks on strategic targets. And there's no sign yet that the two countries are ready to sign a deal.
But yeah, nice little clip right there. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it here because this is going to be a wild one. It's, what was it? Actually, damn, it's about 2 months old. All right, we're going to watch this one real quick.
The New York Times citing classified assessments suggesting that Iran retains substantial missile capabilities. This squares with other CNN reporting, but not with what the administration is saying publicly.
Last June, Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their nuclear program to rubble.
We've degraded just about everything. They have very few missiles.
Their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed.
Their military is gone. Their missiles are largely depleted. We've knocked out their missile production. Their missiles are mostly decimated. They have probably 18, 19%, but not a lot.
U.S. intelligence has
come to the conclusion that Iran, while having substantial missile capabilities damaged, they've regained a lot of those capabilities along the Strait of Hormuz, which of course directly contradicts what we're hearing from the White House.
Yep. And why do they do, and why can they do that? Because they build all this underground, guys. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get into international media. Let's start off on Al Jazeera.
Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Council is warning Tehran could impose tighter restrictions on the Strait of Hormuz. He says the continued U.S. naval blockade on Iran and what he is calling warmongering by American officials will lead to tougher measures. He also said other strategic maritime routes and choke points could also be affected if the tension continues to escalate. Mahmoud Abdelwahed has more from Tehran.
A fresh warning from Iran's National Security Council is raising the stakes in the regional confrontation. Now, Tehran is threatening that if the United States continues with its naval blockade on Iran's southern ports, the lock on the Strait of Hormuz will be further tightened, and also other straits could be also closed or locked. We understand that it did not name any other straits, but we understand that Bab el-Mandeb, or the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb at the Gulf of Aden under control of the Houthis, who are close allies to Tehran, could be also affected. Now, in the statement, it mentions that if the United States continues with the naval blockade, the energy market, the global energy market.
I mean, shoot, bro. It does look like we're trying to go for a land blockade, because that is what people are talking about. People are really talking about, well, Israel weighs on Iran land blockade, aka we're just gonna cut off their bridges and railroads and keep them isolated from, shipments and all that good stuff. But the problem is, if we do that to them, then they might just do that to our Gulf allies throughout the Middle East. But here's a little segment on it.
But we begin with Anita Vogel, live with brand new developments on the conflict with Iran. Anita, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Trace. It certainly sounds like another large attack against Iran could be imminent, and part of that might be a land blockade. The British Telegraph newspaper is reporting a land blockade is under consideration by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to increase economic pressure on the regime after months of attacks have failed to bring them to their knees. The article suggesting the plan could require the U.S. and Israel to petition Iran's neighbors to restrict or close border crossings, which would limit exports and imports to the country.
Not doing that.
Earlier today,
they're not doing that, bro. First off, Pakistan, key ally of Iran, so that's not going to happen. So Pakistan's a key ally of Iran, and Pakistan was also helping Iran get shipments to China and from China. Yes, that's why the blockade didn't work, because of their ally Pakistan. So that's not going to work. And Azerbaijan and Armenia, yeah, they're not strong enough to do anything. Turkey, they're actually in support of Iran, and they want the war to stop, so they're not going to join in on it. Iraq, well, they're going to have to fight the Iran proxy groups there before they can even try a blockade. And these Iran proxy groups are on the border of Iran and Iraq. So that's going to be a hard task right there. And Afghanistan ain't going to want nothing to do with us. And Turkmenistan, I mean, I don't really know about those guys. So we'll see. We'll see, but I doubt it.
Media pressed President Trump as to how Iran still has enough missiles and military capability to continue to attack U.S. bases and ships in the region, and how he might respond.
They have far fewer than they had 4 or 5 months ago. Their manufacturing capacity is almost gone. We'll be hitting them. We'll be hitting them very hard. And at some point they're going to say, we just can't take it anymore.
And as for that land blockade, Iran shares borders with 7 different countries, including Iraq, Pakistan, and Turkey, which all maintain economic and political cooperation with Tehran. So,
yeah, because it's for their own survival as well. Like, they need to maintain this economic cooperation, because they actually get key, key products to their lifestyle out of Iran. And so does Iran from them. So they're going to keep up their trade, because trade sustains their lifestyle, as it does for ours as well. So to sit there and pretty much try to cut that off, like I said, you'd be hurting more of the people than the IRGC. Like I said, this is why I say attacking like civilian infrastructure, energy power plants, and bridges That's why it always tests the line. It teeters the line of war crime and military target. Why? Because more than likely, it's mainly going to be used by the citizens. Like destroying the bridges and cutting off their trade and all that crazy stuff. Yeah, that's mainly going to hurt the citizens because who make money off that? Not just the IRGC, but mainly the citizens make money. Like what? You're saying the IRGC work all the jobs in Tehran? Like how ridiculous did that sound? Well, my bad, not Tehran, but Iran. Iran. Like, come on now.
Trace, that land blockade could prove to be difficult.
Indeed. Nita, thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News.
But all right, though. We're going to hop off the Fox News for a little bit, guys. I know. Y'all going like set, bro. You really about to hit me with another Fox News segment? No.
About some worrisome.
Let's get into this whole suspected Iran cyber attack targeted 30 Minnesota water systems. And I'm just like, I don't know about that. Honestly, I think it might have just been Minnesota's terrible handling of their own infrastructure and their welfare system.
CNN cybersecurity reporter Sean Lingus is here with me in the Situation Room. Sean, I know you have some new reporting this morning about some worrisome cyber attacks on U.S. water systems. What more are you learning? I'm really concerned about this.
Yeah, well, so the problem with the water sector and other critical infrastructure sectors in the U.S. is they leave too much of their sensitive computer systems online. The types of computers that monitor water pressure and other safety parameters at water systems. And what happened here is that someone, possibly Iran, not confirmed yet, but someone earlier this week carried out this sort of sweeping cyber attack across.
Oh, wow. So someone, possibly in Iran. Okay, bro.
Potentially 6 states. The epicenter was sort of in Minnesota, where we had 30 water systems affected.
It could be China.
And the hackers are going in and sort of accessing some of these industrial machines and potentially causing safety issues. Now,
guys, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Appreciate the support. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, or just want to support the show, go ahead and super chat in or send a gift, guys. Appreciate the support. All right, let's keep it going.
we don't have any reports of contamination or anything like that. Things were safely shut down, and there's no threat to the immediate threat to the drinking water. But this really has U.S. officials alarmed. FBI, EPA have been investigating all week and trying to run it down to make sure that there's been no threat to the drinking water. In some cases, water utilities have advised folks to boil water briefly, but this is something that's been sort of brewing for a long time.
Yeah, I should be drinking spring water anyway.
You got the Iran war, you have Iran threatened and weakened, and potentially Iran using their asymmetric capabilities over here to make us feel the pain.
So why are they suspecting, and the key word, suspecting Iran? They don't have any hard proof of that, at least not yet.
Some of the tactics match. They haven't played
Dead man, I'm weak. I said the same thing, though. I was in my head. I'm like, why does that sound more like a China thing? That don't really sound like an Iran thing. That sounds more like something like China would do. Was mess with our water system. I mean, bro, they're already pumping fentanyl into the United States. I mean, why not F with our water system as well? I mean, we already caught them trying to put switchers on our satellite. I mean, not our satellites, but our solar panels. So, I mean, why wouldn't they do this? Like, it makes sense. It's up their alley.
Officially, they don't want to rule out a false flag or something like that. But given the geopolitical environment, it's the top suspect in many cases.
Could be very, if it's Iran doing this, could be very worrisome indeed. All right, thanks very, very much, Sean Lingus reporting.
Cybersecurity expert.
And look, I'm not saying that China did it. I'm just saying it just makes more sense if China was to do it. Like Iran, I don't know about that. But hey, I digress. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into the international media one more time, and then we're gonna get into these 50 to 80,000 migrants from Morocco just storming a city in Spain. Yeah, that was insane right there. That was insane. And there's a lot to get into about it as well.
This is America, and this is one small part of the world's largest naval base here in Norfolk, Virginia. Ships from here are out on operational duty in the Middle East. And from Jordan to Iran, from the Red Sea to the Strait of Hormuz, we are seeing what seems to be a real rise.